Hello, everybody. I'm Nava Elmi, immigration lawyer in Canada, and I'm joined by Joe, who is a franchise consultant. The reason why I wanted to do this presentation is because right now, the pretty much the only path to permanent residency for entrepreneurs is through provincial nominee programs who allow franchises to be one way to structure your business as opposed to buying an existing business or setting up your own business from scratch. And these franchise structure has a lot of benefits, advantages, not only for you, the applicant, but also for immigration. And the reason is because franchises really gives you a system that is already in place, that has already been proven to be successful. And you can use the name of the franchise. And that is a huge step ahead as opposed to, for example, setting up your own business from scratch. So, Joe, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do as a certified franchise consultant?
Thanks, Nava. Well, yes, I'm a certified franchise consultant. I'm based in Canada and I work with clients right across Canada. I've been doing this for almost 12 years now. I got my certification through FranServe, who is the largest franchise broker and franchise information company in North America. And I've had that certification for 11 years now. And I work with a portfolio of about 800 franchise brands from many different industries.
Excellent. And these franchises, the portfolio that you have, is it only for Canadian companies? Can it extend to other countries?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So almost all of the franchises I work with are available in Canada and the United States. So you can expand to the United States. Some of them have an international presence as well. And some of them are looking for people in other countries who have the financial strength and business acumen to bring their franchise to another country.
Okay. And can you give us an example of, first of all, what is a franchise? And then if you can give us a little bit of examples of what type of franchises are out there.
Sure. Well, a franchise is a business where they have other entrepreneurs buy into their system. And when you buy into their system, you get their defined operating systems, you get their brand name, you get their marketing, their supply chains, training, ongoing support. And when you're evaluating a franchise, you want to look at all of these factors to make sure you're getting value for your money. You pay the franchise an initial franchise fee, and on an ongoing basis, you pay a royalty, which is most typically a percentage of your income, of your revenue, actually, but occasionally can be calculated in other ways.
So, bottom line, there has to be an exchange here. You can't expect to use a franchisor's name and set up business without anything in exchange. You do need to pay them on an ongoing basis for using their proven processes and names. And can you tell us, when you say that you have support of the franchisor, what does it mean exactly?
Well, another great question. So just say you've been in business. Now you paid your initial franchise fee and you've started your business. And now you've been running for 6 months and you've hit a snag and it's a problem with your business and you're not sure what to do. If you're partnered with a good franchise, there's always somebody there that you can contact and say, hey, I'm doing these things, I'm marketing in this way, but I'm not getting the success that I would like. And good franchises help you. They problem solve. They connect you with other franchise owners who have had the similar problem in the past and have worked through it. So with a franchise, you're in business for yourself. You own the business, but you're not in business by yourself. You have a support team there.
Yeah. And based on my experience with franchisors, they absolutely don't wait for you to run into issues to intervene. From the beginning, their supports are there to tell you, give you ideas of like where best to locate your business, how big your business should be or how small it should be, how many people should you hire, should it be full-time or part-time employees, what could be your average cost, what will be your average revenues and profit. It really goes deep into every area of operation of a business. And on top of that, they also, of course, intervene if you are encountering any issues business wise. So that is definitely something that immigration knows and considers. We have very, very high success rates with entrepreneurs who open up franchises here, who obtain their immigration status through franchises. And the reason that I touched very quickly on at the beginning is just the proven system that a franchisor has in place that you can tap into from day one, which increases the success rate of your business overall. Joe, can you give us a little bit of examples of the type of franchises, industries, but also maybe go more into detail as to your own clients?
Well, of course, there's many industries, and the one that everybody thinks of when they first think of franchising is food franchises. And everybody thinks of McDonald's because they're the biggest name in franchising. And that's a type of franchise, a food franchise, a franchise where you have a bricks and mortar location that people come to. And there's lots of other bricks and mortar types of franchises, some of them very successful: automotive service, fitness, healthcare. There's some very good options in healthcare, personal services like hairstyling or women's aesthetics. Those are all examples of having a bricks and mortar location where your clients come. Those kind of franchises cost more, obviously, because you have a big bricks and mortar location. There's also many franchises where you have a much smaller bricks and mortar, maybe just an office or a small place in a light warehouse district where you're providing services like cleaning somebody's home or painting their home or renovating their home or caring for seniors or educating children. There's many other kinds of franchises in those types of areas where you get your business through marketing. I've had some very clients that have had very successful businesses, for instance, in the house painting area, painting. Very, very boring sounding business, actually. Nobody, when they're in high school, nobody says, hey, I want to own a painting business when I grow up. But it's a very lucrative kind of business. And I've had a couple of clients buy painting franchises and create $1 million businesses. I've had new immigrants come to Canada and buy a restoration business. And in their second full year of operation, they did $2 million in business. Mm-hmm. No background in restoration.
Mm-hmm. So talk to us about what criteria are you looking at when, let's say I'm a potential client, I come to you and I say, Joe, I would like to open up a franchise in Canada. What questions would you ask me to even see if I'm a fit?
Well, to some extent, the fit depends on the industry you're going into. There's some general things that all franchisors are going to look for. You have to have enough capital to start the business, to support the business during the startup period, and to support yourself and your family while you're starting the business. And I guess if you're applying for immigration, you also have to have enough capital to pay your legal fees and everything else that goes with that. So that's an important first consideration. Most franchises look for some business experience or management experience. It doesn't necessarily have to be senior management experience, but it's got to be sufficient enough that they can see that you can manage the business that you're investing in. Mm-hmm. If you're going to have a staff of 6 or 7 people, have you managed people in the past, for instance? They're looking for somebody that's got some drive and some energy. If you're kind of withdrawn and you're not engaging enthusiastically with them and with the whole process, that might be a deterrent. And I think Nava, some of these things are some of those types of things are things that immigration is also looking for. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, the reason why franchises work so well for immigration is because a lot of the criteria intertwine. So for us, we have maybe more specific metrics in terms of amounts. So for example, in terms of money, what we are looking at is a minimum of 150,000 of investment. And that is really the minimum. Um, so I know you and I, when we talk about, we say that this will go nowhere if you are looking into the food industry. The food industry, for correct me if I'm wrong, but in the front as a franchise, you need to be willing to invest at least 300,000
Or,
into a
or, or more.
or more or
More,
more.
probably a minimum of 400,000 to 500,000,
Yeah.
and that's very few options at that level.
Yeah. Yeah. So really like that metric, we are talking about 300,000 in total net worth for the applicant, and out of these 300,000 they must be willing to spend at least 150, and again these are minimum criterias. On top of that, another very important tool to have is the management experience, but we are looking at senior management experience or business ownership, and we want to see 3 years of management experience within the last 5 years. So that really, like, we look at the resume very, very closely, and we ask our client to confirm that they will be able to prove that through documents before we even move forward. And there is no passive investment currently in Canada. You do need to, there is the Quebec, but we are not going to talk about that today. It's 2 million net worth and you need to speak French. But otherwise, you have to be willing to relocate to Canada and to actively manage your franchise. You can't expect to hire a manager and tomorrow go back to your home country and just receive revenues from passive revenues. So yes, of course, that we understand that the franchisor wants somebody dynamic who will be involved, and that translates as well into the immigration requirements to be willing to fully take charge of your business on a daily basis.
And that brings to mind something else for me, is that there's a couple different business models in franchising. Both would require full-time involvement from the owner. One would be where you actually work in the business. If it was a cleaning business, for instance, you would actually go out and do some cleaning. That's called an owner operator. You're still responsible for the whole business. You're doing the marketing, you're managing the business, but you're spending part of your time actually doing the work. Another business model that I think fits a lot of immigration applicants better is an executive owner business model, where you own the business and you act as the CEO or general manager of your business, but you never do the hands-on work. You hire the staff, you connect with clients, you do the marketing, you ensure that all systems are running smoothly and are in place. And for a lot of immigration applicants who have senior management background or business ownership background, that's a better business model.
Absolutely. And for people to understand really the entire process, let's walk them through it. They first come to you or they come to me. We canvass either on the immigration side or on the franchise side. Are they even eligible? So we mentioned some key criteria like financials, like experience, being able to be involved fully into the business. And after that consultation, you help them to really narrow down the franchisors that will be the best for them. Can you walk us through very briefly how do you get to shortlist out of a portfolio of, let's say, 800 franchisors? How do you narrow down 2 to 3 franchises that could be a fit for your clients?
Well, I work with a client and I learn about their business goals, their background, their work-life balance, their customer acquisition preferences, their management style, and I do a personal profile of that client. And when we've both agreed and when I feel that we're both on the same page about what that profile is, then I start looking for franchises that have business models that are a good fit for that personal profile. And that's when I start talking about actual franchises with one of my clients.
See, and that allows you already to define at least the type of, so some clients come to you and they are very clear about the industry in which they want to be in, but some absolutely do not have any clue about where will be the best fit for them. So for
Right.
you to narrow down the industry, you also, based on the information you collected so far that you just mentioned, this allows you as well to narrow down the type of industry that will be best for them.
Well, that's right. It helps with industry and it helps with type of business model, because sometimes you can have two franchises even in the same industry that have fairly different business models, and those can suit different people as well. But you're right. The key thing is it starts helping you focus on what kind of industries would work for that client.
Okay. And let's say you have shortlisted 2 to 3 franchises. The client is on board and wants to move forward and decide between these 2 or 3 franchisors. So what happens next?
Well, to start with, I give them preliminary information and we review that together, and maybe after they look at the three, we get together again and they say, well, Joe, I would like to really do a deep dive on this one, or maybe these two. That deep dive in franchising is called the discovery process or the due diligence process. So at that point, I introduce them to the franchisor. They start talking to somebody from that franchise who is an expert and only works with that one franchise. If that goes well and they're still interested, and the franchisor is saying, yes, I think this person would be a good fit for our system, they're sent a copy of the franchise disclosure document, the FDD, which provides very detailed information about the franchise, the proposed franchise agreement. And while they're reviewing that franchise disclosure document, they get an opportunity to connect with and speak with a number of existing franchise owners, which is a great benefit to looking at a franchise, because you can talk to a number of people that have been through the whole process, have been through the battles, have successfully navigated the challenges, and that really helps you start learning if it's a good fit for you.
I want people to understand how deep your involvement is. First of all, the being able to shortlist 2 to 3 franchises is a huge work by itself. If an applicant was to do that work by themselves, it will take them months to try to figure out what is the best fit for them. And then when you say that you give them initial information, that's not necessarily initial information that is readily available online. You tap into your own network, you tap into your contacts, you tap into your knowledge of that industry and of that specific franchise in order to come up with that basic initial information that you are mentioning. And after that, once they receive the disclosure package, yes, you put them in touch with the franchisor, and yes, they can discuss with the franchisor directly. But how are you intervening here to help the applicant in its decision?
So this part becomes much more fluid depending on what they want. Some clients at that point don't want as much help. They just want to give me an update once in a while, and they're happy working with the franchisor. Some want me to discuss different sections of the franchise disclosure document with them. I'm very clear that my services in this regard don't replace the services of an attorney who specializes in reviewing franchise documents, but I do help clients review the franchise disclosure document where they want me to. I help them kind of get extra information. If they feel like they're not getting all the information they need, I can act as a go-between between the franchise and make sure everything is clear and understanding is clear on both sides of the fence.
Absolutely. On our end, we dive very deep into the disclosure package. We review absolutely everything. We help our clients see if there are any red flags. We look at the numbers, of course. We look at the financial statements. We look at their business plan. We look at who they have hired, where do they have locations, how many locations they open or they closed, why did they close. We look at cash flow, income statement, revenue projection. If the franchisor is providing any type of market research, we look at it. We look at the hiring plan. We'll look at their expansion plan as well, the type of support that they're providing the applicant, and we provide our own report to our clients on what we have seen. And then, of course, the decision is theirs, but we do dive deep into that document as well. Let's talk about the money side. At which point does the franchisor is saying, okay, everything aligns. Now you need to secure your spot with us, so you need to pay us something.
So that at that point, when you decide you want to invest in that franchise and you want to secure your territory, because most franchises sell you a defined territory. It's usually on a map, it's in the franchise agreement, and it's a legal right that you have to that territory. They won't open another franchise in that territory. So you want to secure that. If you want to live in a certain city, you want to secure that. You pay them their franchise fee and you sign the franchise agreement. And then you've locked in that territory. So while you're going through the immigration process, you've locked in that territory, and that franchise and that territory are there.
So let's give a practical example. Let's say you are opening a business in Saskatoon. That Saskatoon will be your territory. It means that no other franchises from this franchisor could open the similar business where you are located.
That's correct. Now, a city the size of Saskatoon, which has a metropolitan area of about 300,000 people, for a service type franchise that, like we talked about, like a painting franchise or a senior care franchise, they would probably only open one franchise in Saskatoon. So your territory would be the Saskatoon metropolitan area. If it was a food franchise, they might have done some research and say the city of Saskatoon will support 6 units of our franchise. We already have 4 there, and you can have another one in this area of the city. So it depends on the type of franchise, how big a territory is, how many people they need to support their franchise to be successful.
Okay. Okay. And let's say I come to Canada, I operate my franchise, and then I want to grow. Can I purchase other territories?
Yes, that's an excellent question. So if one of your business goals is expansion, one of the things you want to look at is, in the area you're going to, does that franchise have additional opportunities, or are you buying the last territory in that area and then you're locked in? You can't. It's very hard for you to expand. There's other ways to expand depending on the type of franchise. Something like a senior care franchise, I've seen people out of one location build a $50 million business out of one territory. So one way to expand is vertically with some industries. Of course, with something like the food franchise, you're very restricted in how much you can grow after you maximize to a certain level. That's what that one. And then if you want to expand, you have to open more units.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, let's go back to the money side. We understand that at some point you need to secure your spot, and that goes with that saying you need to pay the franchise fee. Can you give a range? How much can be a franchise fee?
It can vary greatly. Some food franchises, interestingly enough, food franchises typically have a fairly low franchise fee, often $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for a food franchise. Many service franchises have $50,000 or $60,000, maybe even $100,000 franchise fee, but they're typically providing you with much longer and more in-depth training than a food franchise, for instance, and more ongoing support and more marketing and advertising, because that's how you're getting your business. So you always have to look at what you're getting for that franchise fee, and then consider what would it cost me to recreate these things if I was opening my own business. If they're charging you a $75,000 franchise fee for their training, for their systems, for pre-designed marketing programs, what would it cost you to recreate those things? Probably a lot more than $75,000.
Absolutely. And the franchise fees is a information that you can provide to your clients right at the beginning. So there is no
Exactly.
surprise of like how much they will need to pay, how much will it cost them. Um, in the initial short list that you provide them, you are already explaining what the franchise fee is. At
Franchise
that
franchise fees, I tell them what the royalties are. I give them an expected in total investment range from a low to a high end. I show them what the training will be, what the ongoing support commitment is, and some history of the franchise.
Perfect. At that point, for us on the immigration side, we have gone through the business side of things. We have to some extent moved forward into some of the steps of the provincial nominee programs. We have also drafted a support letter from the franchisor. And now it's the time to apply for the work permit so that you can come to Canada, open up the franchise, start operating the franchise anywhere between 6 months to 18 months, depending on the location, depending on the province. And after that, you can apply for permanent residency. But in between that, once you are in Canada, something very important is the training with the franchisor. Is this correct?
That is correct. Like all franchises come with training, and you have to take the training. That's part of the deal because the franchise wants you to succeed. They want you to be running a good operation.
Okay. Okay. Um, and after that, to give a perspective to potential clients, it's the timing. How long does it take to get a franchisor to move forward on average? If on both sides, if on the client side and on the franchisor side, communication is pretty active, ongoing, and they are both providing the information and the documents they needed.
So it can be done if the prospective franchisee, if the client pushes forward, because a lot of it is going to depend on them. But if
Mhm.
they move forward quickly with each stage, 2 to 3 months is possible. I've seen that happen many times, but I've seen it take longer too.
Okay.
Depending again, it depends much more on the client than it does on the franchisor. The franchisors have a process and they're ready to move forward.
Yeah.
Uh, so it depends how actively the prospective franchisee engages.
Yeah, that makes sense on the immigration side as well. I usually tell clients that it takes about 3 months. It could be done faster as well. It always depends on the client and not on the franchisor most of the time. And after that, we are ready to submit the work permit application. It takes about, let's say, from the first day we start until you are in Canada with the work permit, it takes about a year, sometimes much faster than that. Then you need to operate the business from 6 to 18 months, and then we can apply for permanent residency. So from the first day until permanent residency, for us on the immigration side, it takes about 3 years to gain permanent residency in Canada. By the way, in between, you can, of course, come with your family, your spouse, and your kids under 22. Or we have some applicants who prefer to first come alone, start the business, find their marks, and then bring the family later on. So that is also a flexibility of this immigration program. Um, Again, on our end, we believe that franchises are a very strong structure, not only for newcomers who sometimes have never been in Canada. They wouldn't even know where Saskatchewan is. So the fact of having the backup of a franchisor is huge, is tremendous. And it does worth the franchise fee and the royalties, etc. So, Joe, is there something that we missed out that you think that we should discuss? And
I don't think so. I think we've covered all the key areas that I would cover with somebody in an initial discussion.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then, of course, as I start working with clients, we start diving deeper into all of these areas. But I think this was a very good introduction.
Okay, excellent. If you are considering immigrating to Canada as an entrepreneur, if you are considering franchises to be the route for you, we invite you to be in touch with us. Either you want to first start contacting Joe to canvass whether franchise is an option, or you want to first contact us on the immigration side to go through your options on the immigration side first. And either way, what we do is business immigration. So Joe and I work together to make sure that on the business side, everything aligns, and on the immigration side, all the eligibility criterias are are there as well. And then both of these need to collide in order to be successful, not only for you personally on the business side, but also to ensure the end goal, which for most of our clients are permanent residency in Canada. So our contacts will be down below, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye now.